I'm Gwen Preston of Resource Maven, and we are here at the Metals Investor Forum in Vancouver in May. And I'm very happy to be joined by Jordan Trimble of Skyharbour Resources. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So, I'm really excited that you're here because I love uranium. Uranium's very exciting. We'll talk about that maybe at the end as some of the setting. But because Skyharbour, a great company with some drill results pending and a bunch of work planned on 2 side-by-side projects that are just in this really active area of the Athabasca Basin. So set the scene for where Moore and Russell Lake are, like what's around them, what they are. Set the scene there.
Yeah, so Russell and Moore Lake are our 2 co-flagship advanced stage exploration assets. And Moore Lake we've had in the portfolio for a number of years. We've been actively advancing it, drilling it since 2017. We've had drill results as high as 21% U308 over a meter and a half, 6% over 6 meters. More recently, we've drilled in the basement rocks there, and we've intersected some new high-grade zones.
Yeah.
That was a few years ago now, but even more recently, we did a deal with Rio Tinto to acquire what is now our second core project, which is Russell, and it's adjacent to Moore. And that was important in getting the deal done too, because we've worked there, we've operated in that part of the basin, but it's a very strategic combined land package now. So you've got collectively just under 110,000 hectares between those 2 projects. Basically all the ground between the McArthur River mine, the Key Lake mill, the road that services the mine runs right up through our project, the haulage road, bringing our drill costs down significantly. But you also have our largest shareholder, Denison Mines, with Wheeler River, their flagship project. They're building a mine there just adjacent to the west of Russell. So a very strategic asset, a couple of assets in one of the most prolific parts of the Athabasca Basin. So yes, we just completed 8,000 meters of drilling this winter. Assays are pending for all of that drilling. We're very, very happy with what we're seeing. We're seeing exactly what we want to be seeing. Russell Lake, I believe we are going to deliver a major new high-grade discovery there. It's been a very exciting new acquisition for us, and we've done a lot of good work. Our team has to vector in on what we think will be the next big high-grade discovery in the Athabasca Basin. At our Moore Lake project, which is a little more advanced, it does host that high-grade couple of zones of mineralization. It's shallow sandstone-hosted mineralization for the most part, which makes it potentially interesting down the road from an ISR or SAVER mining method perspective. And so those 2 projects really the focus for us. Again, lots of news flow from this initial 8,000 meters that we've just completed. 5 of that was at Russell, 3 of that was at Moore, and we're fully funded and permitted for another 8,000 to 10,000 meters this summer and fall. So we're going to have 15,000 to 20,000 meters of drilling. So lots of news flow from that right through the end of the year. And it's very much, as I've said before, it's a discovery-ready story, especially at Russell, where there's widespread mineralization, but have yet to, hit that big, larger zone of high-grade mineralization.
Okay, so so much there and a great setup. Now tell me a little bit in detail, why was Russell Lake so primed for you guys to go in and hopefully make a discovery? Like what the backstory here? There's uranium, but there's been reasons why it hasn't really been explored properly. There's a power line. There was things that were sort of impeded the work that gave you this opportunity.
Yeah. So the deal we were able to get done with Rio took a little while to negotiate. Rio initially was looking for a much larger cash component, and there's been other companies, there were other bidders, other companies interested in the project. I think we'd built a good relationship and rapport with them. They recognized that we'd done some good work at the adjacent Moore Lake project, so we know that area well. Denison obviously is a strategic partner, and their development at Wheeler River and the Phoenix deposit, I think was important. And I think we have the team, the geological team, to go out there and deliver this next big high-grade discovery at the project. Now, as far as the project and the targets that we're drilling, this program we focused in on 3 targets: the M Zone extension, the Grayling East target, as well as the Fork target. And we've talked about this, but the Fork York target's interesting because it wasn't previously drilled or very poorly drilled by previous operators, just because they could not get the proper EM picks and targets and drill targets because it's right under the power line, so it interferes with the EM geophysics. We were able to model the conductor, and we've been able to intersect the target. We're very, very happy with what we're seeing there. It's definitely going to be a target that we will continue to drill test and advance. And just goes to show that even though there's historical drilling and work at the project, there's a lot of upside at this property. It was drilled sporadically over the course of 20 plus years by numerous operators. A lot of that was widely spaced drilling, and there is widespread mineralization, but again, it is, I think, ripe for a new discovery.
Yeah. So exciting. Okay. So that's, I mean, there's drill results pending, maybe even imminent, like you wrapped up the program a while ago. So like
we just completed the final few holes.
The first holes.
Yes. So yes, the next few months we're going to have drill results, and then that'll segue nicely into the commencement of the summer program.
Exactly. Okay, and then Skyharbour is a company that has been around as a uranium explorer in the Athabasca Basin for a long time, which is a rare statement, actually. There aren't very many companies that last in uranium because the bear markets are tough, everybody gets thinned out, but Skyharbour has persisted. That's why you have this incredible portfolio of projects. Some of them are partnered out to others are available for partnership. You have significant exposure to the Athabasca Basin. Talk about Skyharbour as a stock in this moment in the uranium market, right? We have the uranium price has moved. Interest is turning to this space. There's not a lot of stocks in this space. Talk about Skyharbour in this moment in the market.
Well, yeah, look, starting with the fact that we have been around for 10 years. We were, that contrarian company 10 years ago that went out and started building up the project portfolio. So we were able to acquire the initial projects at real fire sale valuations and prices. And we've built up this project portfolio. We continue to add to it for what it's worth, but we've built it up over the last 10 years to what is the third largest by acreage mineral tenure holding in northern Saskatchewan, over 1.4 million acres across 29 projects. And they range from earlier stage, more grassroots properties right through to more advanced stage exploration assets that, again, either host small uranium resources and deposits and or high-grade uranium in previous drilling, so multi-percent U3O8 in previous drilling. And I think that's a key differentiator with Skyharbour and other, call it smaller cap companies, juniors and explorcos in the Athabasca Basin. So that took 10 years to build up, and we're in a great position now to take advantage of rising uranium prices. One thing that I will note is I think we've seen in previous cycles, usually the smaller and mid-cap names, you see them move the most later on in the cycle, right? And so, we have had over the last 3 years, it's been a good market generally for uranium. Obviously, the uranium price has been moving higher. I still think there's a lot of runway left. At these prices, it's still we're still a far cry away from the previous highs in inflation-adjusted terms of, call it $200 a pound. We're less than half of that, and there's been just development and catalyst after development and catalyst where you've got positive news flow and things that are causing real upward pressure on this uranium price. Most recently, the Russian uranium import ban. I think that may not have the immediate impact, especially on non-U.S. companies, but I think over the next 6 to 12 months, you're going to see contracting ramp back up. I think a lot of utilities, U.S. utilities, were on the sidelines waiting to see what would happen. But you're also, I think, going to have now a further squeeze on Western utilities and U.S. utilities in particular, and they're going to have to come back to the market. And maybe you start to see some of these utilities stepping into the spot market more. But bottom line is there's a multitude of positive catalysts that have led to these rising prices. I still think we're in the early days, and therein, I think, lies the opportunity with the juniors, where if you look at previous cycles, the juniors outperform later in the cycle. I think we're in a great position to offer those outsized potential returns later in the cycle relative to some of the larger cap names. And, getting back to specifically for Skyharbour in the Athabasca Basin, as you pointed out, yes, there are new companies, explorcos, that have come in, but there aren't that many companies in the $50 to $500 million market cap range, really just companies that have either been around long enough and have grown. Some new companies that came to market with assets that provided that kind of evaluation, but very few still in that valuation range. There's been consolidation, there's been M&A, and I think we're well positioned as a company currently at this point in the cycle for investors to take a look at, to get exposure not just to uranium, but to high grade exploration and discovery upside, as well as to our prospect generator business, where we've got 7 partners spending upwards of 80 million potentially in total project consideration. So you're getting exposure not just to our 2 main projects and other properties in our portfolio, but you're getting exposure to partner funded projects as well.
And discovery always works, and discovery can generate really great returns for shareholders almost no matter what's happening with a commodity price. But then you layer discovery and into a rising commodity price market, and that can be a very explosive combination.
You got the 2 biggest catalysts for these companies working together, right? And we haven't had that in uranium for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. So here's hoping. Very much look forward to looking at those drill results and seeing the rest of the work at Moore and Russell over the coming year. And thanks so much for being here and taking us through it.
Thank you for having me.